We all know the tales of brave knights, bold warriors in shining armor, riding majestic horses, saving princesses, and battling dragons. But what if I told you that being a knight wasn't the glamorous life you've been led to believe? In fact, the reality was far more brutal, lonely, and dangerous than you could imagine. Today, we uncover the dark truth about being a knight in medieval times. Becoming a knight wasn't a matter of simply being born into nobility. It required years of grueling training, starting as a page at the tender age of 7. Imagine being ripped away from your family, sent to live in a lord's manor, and spending your days cleaning, serving meals, and being treated like a servant. If you survived that, you'd graduate to the role of a squire, which was even harder. You were expected to train in combat, polish your knight's armor until your hands bled, and endure harsh discipline. By the time you became a knight, you were already battered, both physically and mentally. But the hardships didn't end there. Let's talk about the armor. Yes, it looks impressive, but have you ever worn 60 pounds of steel? Wearing a full suit of armor meant constant exhaustion. Walking was hard, running was worse, and falling in battle, that was a death sentence. Many knights drowned because they fell into rivers while fully armored. Oh, and don't forget the heat. Imagine fighting in the scorching sun, sweat pouring down your face, with no way to take a break. Romantic, right? Let's address the biggest myth: warfare wasn't glorious. Forget the epic battles from movies. In reality, battles were chaotic, bloody, and terrifying. Weapons like maces and swords weren't just for duels, they were designed to crush bones and rip through flesh. Knights often fought for lords who didn't care about them, in wars they didn't believe in. Loyalty to your king or lord could get you killed, and there were no medals of honor waiting at the end. When knights weren't fighting, they lived in drafty castles or filthy tents during campaigns. Hygiene was non-existent, and disease ran rampant. Even a small wound could become infected and lead to death. And the food? Think stale bread, questionable meat, and water that was sometimes more dangerous than a sword. Hardly the feast of champions, knights were often isolated. Traveling from place to place, away from their families for years, their only companions were fellow warriors who could just as easily become their enemies in a political dispute. And if you think they were always rescuing damsels, think again. Women of the time were often married off for political alliances. Knights were more likely to be enforcing laws than writing love poems. And what about life after being a knight? Surely, after years of loyal service, they'd retire in peace and comfort, right? Well, not exactly. Most knights didn't receive pensions or any form of retirement benefits. If you were lucky, your lord might grant you a small piece of land. But that land came with responsibilities, managing crops, dealing with peasants, and paying taxes. And if you weren't given land, you were left to fend for yourself. Many retired knights ended up becoming mercenaries, selling their skills to the highest bidder just to survive. Others joined religious military orders like the Templars, hoping to find purpose in their later years. The romanticized image of knights we see today was largely a creation of medieval literature. Writers and poets of the time crafted tales of noble warriors and chivalry to entertain the masses. But the reality? Knights were human, just like us. They faced fears, hardships, and moral dilemmas. Their shiny armor hid the weight of their struggles, and their victories often came at great personal cost. So, the next time you hear about the age of chivalry, remember that beneath the surface lies a much darker story. Knights were not just warriors. They were survivors in a world that was as unforgiving as their battles. This is the reality of being a knight. A life of honor, yes, but also one of unimaginable hardship. If you found this story intriguing, there's so much more to uncover about the realities behind the myths we've grown up believing. Hit that subscribe button and join us for more stories that reveal the hidden truths of history. Until next time, stay curious.